Welcome, learners, to this mini lecture from Lewis Mumford's Techniques in Civilization, pages 156 to 167. As you can see, this mini lecture is more robust than previous presentations. The reason for that is that the content of these three sections, Carboniferous Capitalism, the Steam Engine, and Blood and Iron, fit together and would seem confusing or disjointing to cover it all separately. The good news is that this mini lecture is the last one for this learning session. The better news is that it is longer and packed with more information than normal. So let's get started. First of all, it's important to note two things in this Carboniferous Capitalism. One, coal and iron complex led to a new civilization. And number two, that this civilization and the shift in population that resulted from this civilization was due to three factors. One, coal as a source of power. Two, the steam engine. And three, new methods of smelting and working iron. And really, if you look at in 1709, the future of coal changed forever. Up to that point, coal was being used in a multitude of industries, such as smithing, glass making, brick making, just to name a few. And coal was being used as a fuel in those industries. But in 1709, a Quaker named Abraham Darby successfully substituted coal for charcoal in the production of iron. Once this occurred, the race was on. As the demand for iron increased, so did the demand for coal, and the coal and iron complex of the Paleotechnic phase was launched. The use of coal to power Paleotechnic industry represented the first time that there was a widespread use of energy supplied from an accumulated store of potential energy rather than the current supply. Coal itself had uses for in industry and for domestic heating and power. If you look at this paradigm shift from using current supplies of energy to using stored potential energy, an example of this would be wind and water as a source of energy that was used during the Eotechnic phase as using current energy. Coal, for example, think of a huge stockpile of coal, tons of coal piled up. That is a store of potential energy. That coal might not be providing energy right now, but as soon as it's burnt and releases the heat from that combustion, and then there is energy now that is being provided from that coal. And as coal became important, there was a sudden wealth that could be generated from these coal fields. It really put mankind and these capitalists in a fever of exploitation. And Lewis Mumford sums up the get-rich-quick mentality that came along with the coal and iron complex with this following quote. The reckless, get-rich-quick, devil-take-the-hindmost attitude of the mining rushes spread everywhere. The bonanza farms of the Midwest United States were exploited as if they were mines, and the forests were gutted out and mined in the same fashion as the minerals that lay in their hills. Mankind behaved like a drunken heir on a spree. So that kind of summarizes a little bit of coal as a source of power. The next thing we want to look at is the steam engine. And one thing that's important to realize is that Paleotechnic industry and all the innovations that that came out of Paleotechnic industry rested on the mine. If we look at the screen, you see some of the products of the mine: the steam pump, steam engine, steam locomotive, steamboat, all emanated from the steam engine of the mine. Escalators, elevators, subways, railroads, all these innovations in transportation and things that changed Paleotechnic society emanated from the coal mine. As the need for coal grew and the mining industry expanded, the supply of coal that was easily extracted was soon exhausted. So low-hanging fruit, so to speak, was gone fairly quickly. This phenomenon led to the need for digging deeper mines. The necessity for digging these deeper mines prompted a need for a more powerful pump to remove water from the mines. And really, this is the genesis of the steam engine. So if we look at what prompted the steam engine to be developed or innovated, it really was the need to dig deeper mines, and the result of that need was that to dig deeper mines, you had to be able to pump the water out of those deep mines. Men could the original pumps that were used to pump that water were operated by men, but the inherent limitations in men operating those pumps are pretty obvious. If a machine can automate the process of removing water from the deep mines, then that would free men up to mine the coal. And really, that's the money maker, is mining the coal, not pumping water out of the mines. So that's a little bit of the genesis of the steam engine. Now, on the Learning Session 4 content page, there's a folder titled The Steam Engine. Please open that folder and explore the links that are provided. There are some interactive web pages that will give you an idea of how the steam engine worked and how it developed. And I think that's going to help you as you and the classmates create that wiki, which is the assignment for this learning session section on the steam engine, is to create that class wiki and kind of give a history of how the steam engine developed. So remember, we talked about 3 things that changed society, and one was coal as a source of power. 2 was the steam engine. The third one is new methods of smelting and working iron. And we know that iron became the universal material of the Paleotechnic phase, and there was really no part of life that was untouched, either directly or indirectly, by iron. Iron was used for, it was the universal material. It was used for just about everything. And one thing that really was important in this proliferation of iron was military industrialization. And military industrialization made it possible to conduct warfare on a scale never seen before in human history. Our Civil War in the United States from about the 1860s was right in the middle of the Paleotechnic phase. So this is a sad example of this military industrialization. Railroads made it possible to move large number of soldiers into battle. Large-scale industrialization powered by coal and steam made it possible to equip larger armies than never before with uniforms, equipment, and weapons, that were efforts that were unprecedented in warfare. Although the Civil War is an appropriate example of this military industrialization, a better example is World War I, which, if you notice in the reading, Mumford refers to as the Great War, the World War. Keep in mind that he writes this book before World War II occurs. But World War I occurs on the tail end of the Paleotechnic phase and the beginning of the Neotechnic phase. But it's really the ultimate example of Paleotechnic industry increasing the ease in which men could kill each other in warfare. Winston Churchill witnessed much of this Paleotechnic butchering and was appalled by it. If you think back to your history classes, remember that Winston Churchill was the British Prime Minister during the bulk of World War II in England, but had served as a young military officer in the late 1800s and early 1900s, was in the Royal Navy. His thoughts and writings on the subject are reviewed in a journal article in the New Atlantis by Justin Lyons titled Churchill on Science and Technology. That article is available in the New Knowledge folder of Learning Session 4, and you'll be asked to read a section of it and make a post on our threaded discussion board, just kind of giving your thoughts on that. So just to summarize, remember that this Paleotechnic phase was a break from the old into the new. This new civilization really was driven by 3 factors: coal as a source of energy, the steam engine, and new methods of smelting and working iron. Just a word here. Remember that although this mini lecture combined 3 sections from the text, there are still 3 separate activities corresponding to those sections of the reading to complete. So after you view this mini lecture, you should probably go and complete those those activities. Also, make sure to complete the Learning Session 4 assessment. And keep in mind, similarly, that there are 3 separate essay questions that correspond with this mini lecture. This time I'd like to thank you for watching this mini lecture.